Yo, hey there everybody. I hope you're having a great day. Welcome back to the Let's Go Cycling channel. If this is your first time here, this is where we take rides to some cool, interesting places around the UK. Today we start a ride in Tring on a sunny spring day. We're going to make our way up to Ashridge House, once home of Henry VIII. So route today, we're going to make our way from where we are now down to Tring Park, which has got an interesting history, which I hope to share with you. Then we'll go through Tring and do some comparisons versus 100 years ago. From Tring, we'll make our way out past the station, onto Cowsroast, down the canal, up Norcott Hill, through to Ashridge Estate, and finish Ashridge House. They used to home none other than bad boy Henry VIII. Okay, so this is probably the rarest thing you'll see today. Someone in the UK actually fixing the roads and the potholes. So I think that's the first time I've seen that in maybe 3 or 4 years. But yeah, good work, chaps. A lot more work to be done. So let me share a little bit about where we're starting today in the historic town of Tring. This place first became a village in 1315 when it first got its market charter. So then trading, all the farmers coming to town to the market square. We'll show you later. It's also got some other cool history around Tring Park and then the manor house there, which we'll come back onto in a bit. We're going to make our way up to Tring Park now. And then through here, you can see there's some cool artwork on the walls, so it looks really nice. Before we get to Tring Park, we need to go over the A41. Fun fact about the A41, we'll go back 200 years ago, there used to be a road here. But the previous owner of Tring Park and the mansion decided that he didn't want a road going through the park and he diverted it through Tring. However, when you come 200 years forward, a brand new road sits here straight through the park, so things always go round in circles. So this brings us to Tring Park, a really beautiful place. The mansion house attached to the park was built in 1682 by none other than Sir Christopher Wren. It's been through various owners, from royal owners to the Mayor of London, and eventually sat with the Rothschild family. The house and the park then passed to Walter Rothschilds at the start of the 19th century. And let's just say Walter Rothschild was quite an eccentric chap, and he brought emus, kangaroos, giant tortoises, and even zebras into the park. Which, if you go back 100 years ago and you walk into the park and you see kangaroos and emus you've never seen before, it might have been quite a shock. The park itself sits on a rare chalk grassland, but definitely worth a visit if you're in Tring. You're going to go all the way up to Chilterns, and there's a ridgeline path up there. If you want to check that out, see my other video, link here. So now I'm going to make my way down into Tring and I'll start showing you where the Zoological Museum is, founded by Walter Rothschilds. And then from there, we're going to make our way down into the town and show you some comparisons, what it looks like today versus 100 years ago. So let's go. So this will pop us out by some nice old houses. So just pass up this ice cream van on the right hand side. This is the Zoological Museum, opened by Walter Rothschilds. Here's seen feeding a turtle. And some people say the animals probably didn't get treated so well, but they did get to go on a boat trip all the way from wherever they were to here. And one kangaroo even took a trip through London and escaped. So that was the park and the museum. Now we're going to move down onto Egmont Street. What I'll show you now is a little comparison between what it looked like 100 years ago and what it looks like today. And you can see probably the only thing real difference is actually the roads are probably better back 100 years ago. Our second crowd's picture you can see here. Quite cool, actually not a huge amount of difference here, apart from the building's now changed to a Costa, but you've still got the ironwork, you've still got exactly the same architecture and still the same building and framework. So really cool. Obviously a lot less cars back then. So we'll make our way up the high street and show you another comparison. If you look here on the right hand side, you'll see the bank, and we've got the arches on the top, and again apart from the facade, there's actually not a massive amount changed. If you ever want to see a bit of history in the UK, just look upwards and you'll see the top of the buildings really change. Up here on the right we have some more old houses. This big one here is called Rothschild House. Looks really cool. It's actually now a retirement home, so not a bad place to retire to. Wouldn't mind living there when I get old. And then the last comparison I'm going to show you is of the church. And I think this picture goes back over 100 years. You see not a huge amount of change, well maintained, the tree's a little bit bigger, the walls slightly changed, but very much the same. And that's what I like about this sort of area. Because we're quite far away from the coast, not a lot of stuff got blown up during the war. We missed out on most of the Blitz. We've also got RAF Holton just over the other side of the Chiltern, so very well protected. And again, a lot of these old buildings didn't get destroyed, which is good to see. Go back. So I'm going to make my way over towards the market square. You see in the church, you have a view from this side. And this is Market Square where people bring in their cattle, their sheep, for what, nearly 700 years, back since 1315. Oh, and there's me. One final cool thing about Tring is we recently had a visit from Hollywood's very own Keanu Reeves. He went to this pub over here called the Robin Hood. And why was Keanu Reeves in Tring of all places?
I was like, let's get a shepherd's pie and a pint.
And if you're wondering what you had to drink,
It was a local pour.
so there you have it. That was a little bit of Tring. As I said in my start of the intro, we're now going to make our way up to Ashridge, a little bit of time lapse. If you do want to visit Tring, just keep in mind the train station, if you're coming by train, is about a mile out of town this way. I'll point that out as we go along. Definitely worth a visit. Tring Park is beautiful. You've got the Zoological Museum, but on top of that, there's loads of other cool places to visit in Tring. But for now, as I said, we'll make our way up to Ashridge House. Up there to the left is where you see the train station. As I said, it's about a mile out of town. We're not going that way today. We're going down to Beggars Lane. So let's go. So first stop is here at Cowsroast on the Grand Union Canal. Again, really cool little place, very busy, cars, joggers. We're going to do a little section on the canal, but I just wanted to point out Cowsroast, again, got some cool history. can check out the billboard here. Maybe pause if you want to see more. We'll just go under this bridge, and then there's a few locks. From there we go up the hill, up Norcott, into the Ashridge estate. Well, look, here on the right you've got the bluebells. I hope you see a lot more of those once we get into the woods later on. As again, sit back, enjoy, let's go. I'll take the opportunity to show you another one of these old locks. You see they don't get changed very often. They're really cool to look at. You got all the vegetation hanging off there, the water seeping through, but still doing its job. Right, onward to Norcott Hill. Let's go. So we made it up that hill. We've now moved into the Ashridge estate woodland itself. I'm going to make a stop here at one of my regular stopping places. Quite nice. There's a natural seat with a fallen tree. It's also really quiet, and with that hill you don't get too much people coming this way, or too many people coming this way. So I've just come with a time lapse to show you what it looks like in the woodland with all the bluebells underfoot. You see it's essentially a carpet of blue. You only get this for maybe 2-3 weeks a year at the end of April, start of May. So if you do want to see this, it's worth getting out into the local woodland and seeing it. So we're going to keep moving on, try and avoid as much of the mud as we can. For now, let's go. So this is Ashridge House. Again, this has been here for a very long time. First started life as a monastery back in 1283, so 750 years ago. Opened by or built by the Earl of Cornwall back in them days. But then when Henry VIII came through and got rid of all the monasteries, he took over the house in 1539 and actually lived here for 11 years. During that time, Elizabeth I was born, and she lived here until 1554, and then she was imprisoned by her sister. It was then rebuilt in 1808 by James Watt, a famous architect. Today it's used as a business school in the far end. Also, you've got a cafe there. They also host lots of weddings and lots of TV and film shoots, as you can imagine. So I think some of the notable recent films here: Beauty and the Beast, Killing Eve, and Fantastic Beasts.
This is what was built when everyone had far too much money, and like some one family that lived here.
So that was Tring through to Ashridge. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed the ride and a bit of history. If you did enjoy, please subscribe, like and share. Sharing is caring. As usual, for now, let's go.